See that as a community, the flexible packaging community has garnered the biggest haul in the breakout sessions, which speaks volumes about sort of work that's happening and the growth that's happening in the industry. So without much ado, I'd like to kick things off. About me, I'm going to be moderating the session. My name is Hersh. I manage marketing at Miraclon. I come with about a decade plus of experience, most of that in flexography. And I work with customers on conceptual ideas around fixed color palette printing, as well as the promotion of flexile solutions, while also working with industry partners, irrespective of the stream, be it analogs, be it tapes, be it machines, in being able to try and help flexography grow, because that's in our common interest. So moving forward, we'll be talking about the flexible packaging industry through different lens of each supplier, but also get a customer's perspective on what makes flexible packaging and flexography tick. I'd like to invite the panelists for today's session. So let's go with the first panelist that we have. He is Kirti Panchal from HR Equipments. The HR group is involved in multiple businesses, including wind turbines, nuclear power, defense, oil and gas, rolling mills, and since the last 8 years, they have been also making CI Flexo presses. To their credit, they are the first Indian company to indigenously manufacture CI Flexo presses in India, which is a really proud achievement. So please give a round of applause to Kirti. Can you give the slide for the next panelist? If I can change it if you want. Okay. So then we have Steve Smith from Miraclon. Steve is the regional lead for modern flexo at Miraclon. He brings about 40 years of experience with him in the printing and packaging industry. Steve has been at the forefront of technological advancements that have revolutionized the sector. Over the past decade, he's focused on the packaging industry, and he's leading the applications group for the region. Our next speaker is Rutul Zaveri from Pinmark Blocks. He's a third-generation entrepreneur and a software engineer turned flexo enthusiast. He leads Pinmark Block, which is one of India's oldest flexo prepress trade shops, and probably the only company that brings all major flexo prepress technologies together under one roof. Our fourth panelist is Parag Koradia from Acme Rolltech. He's a technical director at Acme Rolltech with almost 15 years of experience. He's credited as a technical mind and a key asset to the company, known for bringing engineering-driven innovation and achieving ambitious technical goals with great zeal. Just to add, Acme has become a pioneer in India's indigenous manufacture of synthetic analog scrolls, serving industries across labels, flexible packaging, and specialty coatings. Our last speaker is Jainam Shah. Jainam Shah is the managing director at Flexure Print and Pack, a 25-year-old company that predominantly prints with flexo and manufactures flexible packaging products. He brings with him an experience of 10 years in flexo printing. He's done his mechatronics engineering and pursued post-graduation in print and media from Chemnitz University in Germany. Having worked with the DFDA in Stuttgart in Germany, he's a young printer, but tons of great experience. Yep. So with the panel complete, let's begin our session on on flexible packaging. As a group of manufacturers, what we'd like to do is we'd like to explore trends that are shaping the future of the industry. Also talk about the realities of what's happening in India, but at the heart of it is being able to suggest or being able to kind of guide other people in this room and also learn from others about what are the trends that really shape the industry and how do you then collectively drive profitability. So first things first, I think it's important to realize that we're in the Asian market. In India, like most of Asia, there's changing demographics. At the same time, there is a big drive towards premiumization of products, while also being able to factor in the really big change that's driving consumer behavior. That's around urbanization. There's also social changes that happen, which mean people spend differently than what they used to do 15, 20 years ago. We heard yesterday about digitalization, the drive of e-commerce and how that's driving growth as well. So India is really growing at a really, really fast pace. And this is something that is also then contributing to the growth of flexo and flexible packaging in the country. Now, as consumer needs evolve, it starts impacting brands as well. So there's rising demands. I think consumers want a ton of variety. There's a lot of small brands that are now coming up. It's just easier for even smaller brands to establish themselves and set up. The barriers of entry are much lower. People are demanding a much broader product mix than they used to a few years ago. So when you go to the supermarket, instead of seeing a few products or a few big brands, suddenly you see a new brand probably every month and a half. This includes house brands, as the supermarket chains themselves start doing some level of backwards integration, but also new brands that are coming up, whether it's in the gourmet segment or even in the value segment. This obviously means that there's an increased amount of competition that's out there. With increased competition, people do want to stand out on the shelf, people do want their product to succeed. Especially a new brand, I think the drive is just that much higher. All of this means that customers are really spoiled for choice. So they have really high expectations. At the same time, they want to make value-oriented purchases. So that's another key aspect that we want to factor in, which impacts the brands. Now, consumers, when they go into the supermarket, they purchase the products based on some very simple factors. One of them being shelf impact. So they want a packaging that looks great. They want something that stands out, which tempts them in that moment of truth to pick up that packaging. They also then try and pick it up, look at what the brand is, see what the brand messaging is. But increasingly, more and more customers, and we saw this yesterday, we've seen multiple research papers on this, people are talking about sustainability. They want to have a pack or they want to buy a brand that's associated with sustainability. There have been studies that suggest that people are willing to even pay a premium for sustainability. But I would say that that is one part of the segment. But customers do want sustainability as a core belief. Customers do want their brands to be more sustainable. Increasingly, while there is consumer demand, I think there's also the chance that people make their decisions a lot more now based on price, now more than ever, given the amount of variety and given the amount of choice they have. Important to highlight here that whenever we go into a supermarket, I think outside of this room, people do not carry an eyeglass, people do not decide whether they want to buy something simply because it's printed with digital or flexo or review. People buy a product because it looks good or because they're loyal to a brand. So that being said, brands are now looking at improving their own profitability. There's tremendous pricing pressures, and they want to also deliver on the sustainability commitments. So when they do this, they do not necessarily cater to a consumer market that decides packaging based on a print process. With that being established, let's look at what's happening in the flexo world. So industry pressures are immense. They demand change. When people refer to flexo in Asia, I think there's still a lot of traditional flexo that exists. When I say traditional, what do we mean by that? It means that it's very manual. People believe it's extremely complex, and if it's not, they make it complex. It's inefficient. There's a lot of intervention that needs to happen in order to run a press. I think changeover times are a good indicator of that, and it's also unpredictable. However, what we would like to talk about in today's presentation is about modern flexo. So modern flexo goes away from what traditional flexo used to be and takes it into a domain that's higher in quality, but at the same time much more controlled, much more optimized, much more sustainable, much more agile, consistent and repeatable. And all of this without compromising on any quality. So that concludes the introduction that I'd like to give, but from here we'd like to pass it off to the individual sort of components that make Flexo click. The first of which would be with the printing press itself. And we've already introduced the speakers, so I'd like Kirti to take it on from here and begin his presentation.
Sure. Good afternoon, all the guests. Yeah. Next slide. Okay. This is next slide. I am representing HR Equipment Private Limited, one of the maker of CI Flexo presses in world, and proud to say the first indigenous company to make the modern CI Flexo in India. I would like to present what is the role of machine, CI Flexo machine in flexible packaging printing. I would like to know in this all the gathering, who are all from the Flexo industry and who are from other printing segment like Gravier and this. Flexo first. I feel almost 90% crowd is knowing the Flexo, so I will skip these initials of the Flexo processes, central drum, stack and inline. So I will now more focus on the CI Flexo. If you see this diagram is what's on the screen, you see a typical CI Flexo diagram. The performance of printing is very good in CI Flexo because of few technical parameters. In CI Flexo, if you see the central drum, the whole printing is being done around the CI drum. All print stations are surrounded the drum. The distance between two print colors is hardly 500, 600 or maybe 700, depends on the repeat size. So there is a precise register control. You have a printing being done very near to near. That is the charm of this printing. Everything rest is web handling. So this is a configuration of CI Flexo press, starting from unwinder, then the tension control, then edge guide, moving into the print section, all the print sections surrounding to each other with the tunnel. Next, web is going to the tunnel for the drying, then it's being wound through the web guide and it's wound into the rewinder. So this is the configuration of standard CI Flexo. CI Flexo and processes. The CI Flexo press is the #1 choice for the lot of business because it can print high resolution and also it can handle any kind of material. Its secret is central impression cylinder that acts as the main support for the printing process, with individual print units surrounding it, which ensures that all colors match up perfectly. The process, I will not go in detail because Flexo process, most of them you know. In India, Rotograver is quite mature technology with huge support by local press manufacturer, availability of cylinder manufacturing technology, lot of help from local ink suppliers as well. Since last few years, more than 5 years, CI Flexo is now being popular in India due to its great advancement in technology and disadvantages. The first one being the substrates, capability to handle a wide range of substrates, including thicker substrate and thinner substrates of elastic materials like breathable, non-breathable film, BOP, PE, BOF, alufoil, metallized film, composite materials, multi-layer materials, etc. So, you name it, it can print it. That is the basics of CI Flexo. Faster job changeover. Job changeover can be achieved in 15-30 minutes. The modern flexos are equipped with such a good technology, you can change over very fast. Recipe-based management, next job preparation while the first job is running. And even there are some presses which are come. While printing also you can load the next job. So these are the advancements. Lesser floor space requirement, lesser manpower requirement. You save lot in inks and solvents. Ink is one of the major cost in printing. One can save 30% in ink. We are into the session of profitability. These are the aspects which will save your money, will make you more competitive. Due to use of closed chamber doctor blade, the evaporation of solvent is very less. Better print quality, we get best running registration even on the thinnest substrates. At maximum speed, there is no loss of misregistration at high speed as the film is supported throughout the printing on CI drum. Finest print quality, as in CI flexo, you are able to achieve the even 0.4% dot can be delivered. Even more than 200 LPI can be achieved in flexo very easily and very successfully. Good sharpness of barcodes, text and line work in compared to other printing processes. Lesser energy requirement due to interdeck drying chambers which are very small in size and requires only one set of blower and exhauster. So you don't require the huge blower exhauster and save energy. Less wastage on substrates. Average waste of material for final registration is less than around 25 meters. There is no ERC wastage. Even with the latest trend in auto pressure and auto registration, you can save very good wastage. Printing cost, flexo technology leading to comparable printing quality at economical cost of printing per kg. So this is one of the aspects. Now environmental advantages. We all will agree the sustainability is what looking for, as Hersh told. So faster you adopt the processes environment friendly, you will be more competitive today and in future. CI flexo printing offers several environmental advantages compared to the other printing methods. One of the most notable benefits of use of water-based inks, water-based flexography inks have low VOCs, volatile organic compound emissions, making them more eco-friendly than solvent-based inks used in the other printing process. Additionally, high-speed production capabilities of CI flexo presses lead to reduced energy consumption. Like when you print the LDP, you can print very faster, 400 meters per minute, 500, 600. So these are the advantages of this CI flexo. Advancement in plate making technology have led to the development of solvent-free, water-based, water-washable flexographic printing plates. This eliminates need of harmful solvents. Latest, now one of the important thing I would like to deliver you is the latest trends in CI flexo. Sustainability. You have India is now coming up a hub of all the biodegradable, compostable substrate printing. Also, we are coming up with a breathable, non-breathable, all the hygiene products. Integration of digital and hybrid technology. This is one of the good things coming up in modern flexos. For various applications, you can integrate the digital heads also into the CI flexo. Inline registered coating, varnishing, inline holography, ECG, traditional, then impression pressure control, dynamic pressure control, enhanced print quality precision, sustainable energy efficient practices, advanced automation, operator assistance. I will elaborate a little bit more. Now, inline registered coating and varnishing. Now this is a new thing which many press manufacturers are offering. You can do the reverse matte varnish coating or a ninth color printing on the same inline. You need not to have a second run. You save a lot of production cost. So inline coating is happening. You can do the coating pre and post printing. So these are the advantages of latest trends. Inline holography you can do for various masala or pan masala market. You can do this. Also, ECG is the very upcoming thing. We heard in our previous day session the lot of advantages of ECG. And many press makers and many companies have proven this to be a beneficial. And we have also got a good achievement in this ECG printing, successfully demonstrated by many by printers. Maybe Jainam K will explain more in detail what are the achievements. But as a press manufacturer, I can tell that presses are capable to print ECG very easily. CIFXO are better than other printing technology. The reason, here you have the very good printing stability, registration stability in CIFXO, which is very, very important in ECG. Okay? The registration accuracy is good in CIFXO, so this is one of the important factor why you select the process ECG, which is going to save your fast job changeover, will make you profitable. Sustainability, biodegradable and compostable substrate printing is now, many makers have developed all the technology to print these products. Sustainable, energy efficient practices. Now there are presses are available with the LED and UV inks and lamps. So you have that sustainable and energy efficient practices. Water-based inks, UV curable inks. And also now there are a lot of development in automation. So now you can print very easily, operator-friendly automations have been developed so that your efficiency in printing has increased a lot compared to the last decade. Core applications, I will not focus and take your much of time in application because I understand there are many people here familiar with the flexo process. But I will quickly go for flexible packaging. There are good applications for printing on CI flexo. Labels, plastic films, LDP, PP, BOPP, laminates, paper products, medical packaging, tobacco packaging. So these are all from machine side. If anybody has any questions, can ask me in later stage of this session, or maybe I am available on stall also. I will request to proceed for further.
Thank you, Kirti bhai. So Kirti bhai took us through what is one of the biggest decisions that any printer would want to make, which is which flexo press do I buy and on what basis do I buy. We've seen that flexo presses have improved significantly. The change has been, and the adoption of newer and newer technology has been much quicker. So there's improved speed to market. Presses are much more capable. They can handle a lot of different substrates. They're much more versatile, and then they can now cater to a much wider range of applications. So thank you so much, Kirti bhai. The next speaker would be Parag bhai of Acme Rolltech. The next big investment that people need to make after they decide to invest in the press is, what does my analog set look like? So that's, I would say, the next big capex investment, and I'd like Parag bhai to take it from there.
Thank you, Hersh. It's a pleasure to be here in front of this lovely audience. As an anilox manufacturer, people are generally saying anilox is the heart of the flexo printing industry or flexo printing technology. So I will touch upon the pain points of the customers and how we are making anilox more durable and we can get more performance out of the aniloxes. So basically, if we say anilox is a heart, so we have to take care of our heart when we say flexo printing. And as a session name is profitability, we all are looking for the bottom lines. So we have to take care about the processes, we have to take care about the machines, we have to take care about the plates, prepress, everything, and also anilox. So anilox, basically it's made of a ceramic. Why ceramic? Because ceramic has a certain properties, like it's a very hard material, and it has its own corrosion and wear resistance properties. So to apply a ceramic, there are a few technologies available in the market. Generally, people are using the plasma spray process for the ceramic coatings, and nowadays the latest technologies are available where we can get more dense, more fine and hard ceramic coatings, which helps to improve our anilox life and give you the much more paint results. So when we start with the anilox manufacturing, basically there are two types of metals are used in anilox. One is the mild steel and second is the aluminum. When it comes to the rollers, like in label press, in stack flexo, in coating applications, people are using softed rollers which are made of mild steel. And in CI flexo, we are using anilox sleeves which are made of aluminum. Now, mild steel is a corrosion prone material and aluminum is a oxidation prone material. So we have to protect the base from our solvent based inks, water based inks. In UV, yeah, we have a little bit of advantage, but with the solvent and with the water base, we have to protect our base. Generally, people are saying aluminum, there is no corrosion. Yeah, absolutely right. Aluminum, there is no corrosion, but aluminum is the metal which gets fast oxidation. So we have to protect aluminum as well as mild steel. So from the base, people are using bond coat. It is made of some alloys which protects base from the attacking of our harsh inks like solvent base or water base. So the bond coat is must in anilox to prevent your base from the corrosion and oxidation. Now, when we say ceramic, so ceramic has its own inherent property. It's a porous material. So we always try to get porosity less than 2%. So yeah, but it is there. So it's an inherent property of the ceramic. When we say it's a less than 2%, it's a very good dense ceramic coating, and it has to be there because after ceramic coating we have to do an engraving. If we have a more porosity, then we are not able to get the proper cell structures. Your walls are not even, you have uneven cell volumes, and you won't get the good print result. So this is one thing, the porosity it has to be less than 2%. As I told you, the ceramic is one of the hardest material. It has a very good hardness of 1300 hard weaker, and it gives you the maximum wear resistance abrasion to enhance the productivity, and it gives you a very good life. Now, as I told you, the ceramic, it's a porous material, less than 2% or less than 1%. But what can be done to cover up those porosities? So people are using some sealants or maybe some different technologies to cover up those porous holes, to make the surface completely cover. Why it is required that I will discuss in next slides, but it has to be there to cover all porosities on the ceramic surface. It will help in other ways also. It will help to protect your base. It will, because if we have a porosity, then your solvent-based inks, your water-based inks can sip to the porous holes, get to the base, and it may possible you have some oxidations or maybe some corrosions and you have a bubbling issues. And then later on it will, it can progress to the chip off. So once we have a ceramic coating done, and then it's a engraving. So in engraving, yeah. So engraving is we are making a cells on the surface of a ceramic. So wide varieties of cell structures are available in the market. It depends on the applications. It depends on the ink. It depends on what substrate you are going to print. So customer has certain requirements we have to understand, and we suggest accordingly. Sometimes there are certain misconceptions about the cell structures. For certain kind of applications, you need certain kind of cell structures. It's not always true, but it's always better to discuss with your anilox supplier what kind of ink you are going to use, what will be the substrate, what is the application sometimes, and you decide the suitable cell structure for your application.
You can make LPIs or you can say LPCM, closer to fine or ultra fine. Again, it depends on the job work, it depends on the prepress or what kind of job you are going to take. If you have some background, second is the scoring line. Scoring lines is always a debatable point because just on a lighter note, whenever the customer has a scoring line, the first call goes to the anilox supplier. We got the scoring line on your anilox, but it's not anilox fault. There are certain points that should be checked by the printer itself at their end. So maybe the doctor blade is damaged or some contamination in the ink or maybe some high abrasive ink. So in kind of like white ink, we have a very high pigmentation. And maybe damaged ceramic surface itself, like you have a tip off and still you are using the anilox, so it's going to do damage your anilox further. To avoid all these things, nowadays the magnetic filters are available on the machine. So we always suggest that if you don't have a magnetic filter for the ink, you install it. I'm sure Kirti has that solution in that machine because see, the blade is made of a carbon steel and it is continuously rubbing in front of the anilox, and anilox is a hard material. So when you have a chip off of the, you have a small particles of the blade which is going into the ink. If you have a magnetic filter in your ink system, all the metal particles are stuck to the magnet and you have a fresh ink in the system. Second thing, frequently change the doctor blade and at the same time change both the blades. If you have a doctor blade chamber system, wiping as well as the both the blades you should take at the same time. And that's another one is the debonding, or I would say delamination of the anilox. So the structure of anilox is like we have in an internal glass core, then we have a foam layer over there, and then again a glass core, and then aluminum pipe. So from the edges, the ink or maybe chemical cleaning solutions or maybe water or whatever we have, it goes into the that joint, that end ring and the glass fiber, and that foam gets very rigid after a certain long time, and due to that it loses its adhesion to the base, and you have this kind of delamination issue. So I have seen customers who are having a fight and aniloxes laid on the floor because of this issue. It's a kind of handling or cleaning issue which as a printer you can avoid those things by using it by using proper cleaning methods. Avoid sipping the ink or cleaning solution into that joint areas. That will help you to avoid this kind of debonding issue. And yeah, as a profitability, we all are looking at the bottom line. So refurbishment. So yes, it is possible to refurbish old aniloxes. If you have a scoring line, if you have a bubbling on the surface, if you have a tip of issues on the top surface, that is quite possible to re-engrave that anilox. And here, in doing the refurbishment, it's like a sustainability approach. We say it's a sustainable approach because, as I told you, customers are having many aniloxes lying on the floor which are not in the production because of certain issues. You can send it to your anilox manufacturer, get it refurbished, reuse it. So we are reducing the actual usage of, or I would say, we are reducing the new metal, new glass fiber, new aluminum into the system. We are using whatever available. Sustainability is not just cut, or I would say it's how we can make the reuse of most of the things. So yeah, and again, there are certain advantages also. As I told you, with the refurbishment, it gives you the more fast time, delivery time, and you can save cost also. So I think that's all from my side. If you have any questions regarding anilox or other things, we are here to help. Thank you.
Yeah, it's critical. Because this can show and critical advices, especially from another print process, you who want to use the right unlock that needs your also critical use analog as very effective, how do you then use them on a regular basis, follow it, also build them in the right way so that you get the most out of it. Um, the next speaker we'll have is basically my approach. Besides the next speaker, and
when we put together this presentation, Hersh has put together a couple of questions. Right, so what's the next step? Balance. Now I've just approached it to have this balance but in the end, it's all about how you improve profitability. What we install way improve profitability. So why speculate? Using modern speculative methodology, fast, scalable, which delivers high unavailability. We look at intelligence, artificial intelligence, the whole gamut. It's also got to observe that unparalleled we call itself had we are in fast moving low profitability. Hear about my friend review of the that's wrong. This is what's important. We are our own worst Now, I think all of the work all of these things will do lots of activation. Now, what's new in Breakout? Plate technology, the input barrier, plate, polymer. What has changed? Now speaking, we have 2016 single form acid. 2010, double form. What that does is control play down. Pressure is the logic of the pressure. Most from so what's the process control? But what's important is highly repeatable pipe. The pipe has to be
coordinated placement. We're talking about the use of 4 colours, 10 colours, 7 colours, 12 colours, 3 colours. This is perfect. Expression as we're doing on one video or so within lighting, we have used placement, looking at simplified also self-organized colour. If you look at fast changeover, that's so important. The colour is flow, line. Modify this box if you'll spend more time on it, highly accurate calibration proof. Such support. Today, predictive espresso is trying to most of the time people try to actually on the press. We're changing that around. We want the proof to match the press. Simple as that. Do that process control highly accurate. Press automation. Hear about the builds available. Press automation on those presses. Average. One of the things that we talk about is graphic art. We want to remove that graphic science. We want electro technical automation. Principle. Increasing average time like hear about substrate better environment. They're more expensive. So changing to that without changing the process to get how it's wasting a lot more expensive. So you've got to challenges with flexo now brackets, critical flexo. Okay. So we've got critical mindset. I'm sure it's important I flexo later in my life. I often say I don't imagine I'm not reducing it myself, but I'll always tell them why we don't want to. So there's the things that change because of problems we have this mindset what solid body half all of those adjustments being made on this
One thing, software development, technology, fail, like this. Get the time to that one. Just stabilize first. Well done, get it on stage.
I can stand up here forever and talk about everything you can do. One of the things we practice is to show how it's done rather than tell how it's done. And this was a quote by Benjamin Franklin in 1700. Andy will probably say I knew him, but he was also a printer. He knew a bit about printing, but well done is better than well said. And this is what you've got to be able to prove it. So, improve profitability through quality. That's a different approach. It's use the best of breed solutions, not the lowest cost. Use the best of breed solutions. And this is one of the things with process control, with modern flexo methodologies, you've really got to work with brands to put forward cost-saving initiatives to them. View products as a consumer, not as a print technician. Which then brings you to the co-printing opportunities, which can turn a short run into a medium run, where you've got the same product with the same repeat on the same substrate. Kai had an example of some dog food bags where you've got 4 different packs across the web width. You can do that once you control the processes and you have process control of colour management over the press. You can't do it with traditional flexo because you're moving colours up and down. And it's okay if you've got the same colour across 4 repeats. But if you do that. So, with traditional flexo, to improve quality means increased costs. Now, this is probably challenging, and I'm assuming people will say, well, that's not quite right, but to improve quality means you're going to have additional spot colours, additional costs, additional plates and inks, longer make-readies, high waste, high screen ruling, you can, if you wish, do that, potentially decreasing the average press speed. Now, as I said, I admire the high line counts. My background's as a camera operator many years ago, and the holy grail was to print something at 300 line screen, because visually the eye can't see any more than 300 line screen, so it's like continuous tone. Over the years, I've since learned that it's not profitable to print that, even though it's a great objective. It's still no match for gravure and traditional flexo because of the highlight dots, and I'm sure the other guys and other repro houses in this room will probably say, no, that's not quite right. But we know in the FMCG sector where you've got high volumes of print, that it's still no match for gravure, traditional flexo with minimum dots. So with modern flexo, we upend the quality cost scenario, and we can look at improving the quality but reducing the cost. But you can only do that when you have all the processes in control, and you may spend more on certain components of that process, but the sum total will be actually a reduction in the cost of the unit. So the high gamut CMYK and simplified extended colour gamut, being able to visually fade to zero and using consistent quality to reduce costs to give you visual parity with gravure. Now, this is a quote from Carl Albright, and it's so true. You can seldom improve quality by cutting costs. Usually the other thing happens. You get lower quality, and people say, oh, okay, that's the compromise. You want a lower cost, you're going to get less quality. But you can often cut costs by improving quality, consistency, repeatability, so that you can see how, if you look at traditional flexo versus modern flexo, you've got opportunities to do different things that is going to give you more cost effectiveness to the brands and to your business. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
process control is the key. And if this is one takeaway that you can, I think, have from this section, is that process control will drive profitability. Next up is Rutul Bhai from Pinmark. You can have a good plate, but unless you do the pre-press right, and unless and until you work with the converter, work with the brand, and make sure that the file transitions to the plate, transitions to the print effectively, nothing works, right? So, Rutul Bhai, up, over to you.
Thank you, Hersh, for giving me this platform. And the organizer, I would definitely congratulate you for providing us this platform, because a lot of forums are there for flexible packaging. For particular Flexo, this is a very good start, and I must congratulate the organizers for sharing this platform. So everybody here talks about how you are making things profitable and the things. So, as Parag rightly said, anilox is the heart of the Flexo, and the prepress is the brain for this Flexo. So, when we are talking about like Flexo, few years back, everybody thinks that Flexo is like a very old kind of a thing. Brands always have spectacle that this quality is not good. They have bending kind of a things. Vignettes would have a filling effects, or they are not for like high quality printing. But there are a lot of advancement which has gone in recent years in all the technology, in the press, in the anilox, in the inks, in the tapes, and in the prepress as well. So what changes has done in the prepress that I just wanted to highlight, that there are a lot of plates are there with the flat top dots and with the LED exposure technology. Now the plates are giving very crisp image transfer to the print. Earlier we used to give more pressure to get the right densities and everything. With the new flat top dot plates and the surface screening, we are able to get very fine shift. The second thing which has been important is now jointless printing is possible in Flexo. The majority of the Flexo printers always have one thing in mind, that in Flexo we cannot avoid the joint. So brand managers always talk about that if you are not able to remove the joint, we won't shift this job from Giver to Flexo, even though it helps us. But consumer perceptions always makes a challenge for them. So I'll show you what new things which has been done over here. And the color management workflows, like nowadays the color management in the world of AI, you have seen in the previous session that AI is evolving in our industry as well. So how AI is helping the color management in prepress workflow that can create the press more repeatable, get more repeatable colors on every orders. So one thing which was been shared from yesterday to today, like all are talking about ECG. My concept about ECG is like, what is ECG? ECG is the one extended version of your CMYK. If you are confident and constantly able to print with CMYK, it can go, it's very easy step for you to achieve on ECG to get more color vibrancy. Because when you can see over here that, here you can see that the color gamut is there, but when you are using the ECG, your color gamut is expanding. So because of that, you can see the difference in the colors, vibrancy is getting more and more. And even the more details are there. You can see that the same eye is there, but the colors are a little different. So here, we are not talking just about just color vibrancy. We are also talking about the Pantone colors as well. When you are having more colors, you are able to achieve the more Pantone colors with CMYK and as well as with the OVG when it is there. People are talking about ECG, but the main thing is how to implement this. This is the very major challenge for all the printers they have in their mind. So to start, when you want to start with ECG, the first and foremost thing is like you need to standardize your parameters. When you standardize your parameters like tape, ink, plates, anilox, your pressure settings, ink viscosity, everything you just need to put down on a paper and make it fix. The most important part is the inks that if you want to do the ECG, you need monopigment inks, because then only you will be able to make consistency in the ink densities part. Then we have to make a fingerprint chart, which is like shown over here. Like some of the charts are there from FOGRA, Idea Alliance. Be it any standard you want to take, you can take and then you have to print that chart. With that chart, we can measure all the trappings, colors, balance, even the color profiles we can create. So we are fixing these parameters and making it readable to the printers, that now with this you are able to achieve this much gamut, the gamut which we are shown. That we show the gamut to the printers that you are able to achieve with this set of inks, you are able to achieve this color gamut. So second most important part in the prepress innovations are screening and workflow advancements. As Steve stated that there are some screening patterns which have been developed. So now in Flexo, flat top dot plates are there, and with the microcell structure, you are able to achieve very good densities and fine text. The other, there are always two parts in the Flexo. One is like solids and one is a halftone. Solids were their like strong point for Flexo for so many years. It was a halftone where people are saying that it will not able to match the gravure. So now with the advanced screening, we are able to print with the 175, 190, 200, and with the recent development in the screenings, people can go up to 350 LPI as well. So what makes the difference? So here you can see the things that when you are printing with the normal Flexo, with the 133 or 150, you are able to see some dot effects when you are zoom and see. Here you are able to see it's very smooth over there. So these are the new screening which helps the consumer to create more finer details, and it will create more color gamut. So it will create a spectral data decisions and the things. So what is there? Higher quality with less inks and fewer on press controls. What are the challenges in Flexo? Flexo, it's all about like perception. People have perception that Flexo can't match gravure in quality and consistency. But when you are printing with this kind of modern innovations, you are able to achieve with gravure. There are a lot of examples are there in the market from all the different printers that now they are able to achieve the gravure like results in Flexo as well. The major thing is that you need to print the control strip on each and every job, make the readings of that control strip, what is the density of each color, what is the 50% dot gain value, what is the 25% dot gain value, and what is 2% dot gain value. And you have to maintain that. If you are able to maintain this parameters for each colors, you are able to standardize on your process and you will achieve a good transitions. So we are able to stabilize on the process like variables. There are many variables, but we are reducing the variables and making it why the job result is not coming. It is the job of the prepress that it will become. So you have to show that why my density is not there. You have to correct on that part only. You don't need to see on the result side. You just need to focus on the control strip part. And the last part which I want to discuss about like jointless printing. So there are two types of jointless printing in the market is there. One is in the round photopolymer sleeve and other is the elastomer sleeve. When you are talking about like sleeves, it is just like a plug and play of your adapter sleeve. It is the same like adapter sleeve, but there is an engraving on that sleeve. so that you don't need any kind of tape or any expertise on like mounting corrections or required. It has a notch and it will directly fit on your press, so that once you start, it's always give you the perfect impression. So it is very fast to set up and less manpower is required. And the best part is it is a reusable, because when you are using this sleeve on a continuous basis, still it will won't affect the quality. It has a very longer life compared to flexo plates. So whenever there is some harsh chemical or harsh aggressive varnish, if you require, or if you need to print, you can use with this and you are able to achieve a strong transfer ratio. So what are the takeaways? I would say is like, flexo is profitable, sustainable, and future ready when press and pre-press are in sync. I would say press and pre-press communication, understanding is very important to be successful in flexo. They need to talk each and everything. They need to share the data each other so that they will understand, both of them understand that what is happening behind and what is going again. So once the printers standardize that process, then prepress will have to just focus on doing the color correction and achieving the results. Thank you. If you have any questions or any things to discuss, we are available over here.
Thank you so much, Rutul bhai. Rightly said, once you standardize your process, let prepress do the heavy lifting. I think your prepress partner
Thank you.
Or your prepress team needs to have a very good understanding of how the design will eventually transition onto the print. Without that, it's never going to be profitable. So thank you so much. Now, despite Flexo having been around for a while, we're seeing it successful in Western markets, but there's always this question which discombobulates a lot of Asian converters, right? That how do I make this work? How do I make this successful? How do I make it more profitable? So we have Jainam Bhai from Flexo, who is a new printer, but he comes in with a ton of experience, and I'd like to invite him to take us through the next section.
So thank you, Hersh bhai, for introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry. Okay. So today I'll be speaking about Flexo success stories in press room. So I'll be speaking about why do we do Flexo, what are the benefits of Flexo, followed by certain challenges that the Flexo process has, and how to overcome those challenges. And then lastly, we'll talk about how to successfully execute Flexo in the press room. So let's begin with why Flexo. So it's a very versatile process. We can use Flexo with extensible and non-extensible substrates, and we can use it with a wide variety of inks, such as solvent-based, water-based, UV-based. So it's a very versatile process. Quick job setup. So due to very high advanced automation, we can do fast job setups, such as automatic plate mounting and pressure setting, registration. So it's a very fast process, and time to market is very important, because where gravure can take weeks to deliver a job, Flexo can do in a number of days due to the fast prepress. So normally Flexo excels for large scale production, but given that quick job setup and changeovers, Flexo can be very cost effective, because the cost per unit can be very less, because the initial investment is very less. Gravure has high initial investment, so to bring the cost down, it needs to be massive production. Pilot launching. So there are many early startups and brand owners who want to launch their products. So pilot launching can be a very beneficial in Flexo. When the product is, let's say, when they've launched, and if the product is successful, they can scale up the product in the Flexo itself. They don't need to switch the process. So for example, if they've done with a digital, they have to come to Flexo, so everything has to be done again. So no need to switch the printing process. We can do it in the same process. Flexo is very sustainable, and it has very short footprint. If we see physically, the machine size is very compact when we compare with rotogravure, and the prepress inventory also takes very less space, so it has a very short footprint. And because Flexo can be used with, let's say, homogeneous substrates, recyclable substrates, is very sustainable. So now let us understand certain challenges of Flexo. So it is very difficult in Flexo to print all the elements in a single plate. So let's try to understand this with this design. So looking at this design, the requirements are to achieve very good solid ink density of black color, as well as we have to print very sharp, sharp and clean negative elements. As you can see, there are very small negative elements. And we also have to print very sharp and smooth halftones. Moreover, because if you change the analoxes for, let's say, background spot color and halftones, what happens is we see a very smooth, we don't get a very smooth, let's say, intersection, because the volume of analogs is different. We are printing solid with a coarser analogs and halftones are printed at finer analogs. So we see a hard edge when they intersect. So normally we want to have a smooth intersection. So how do we do this? So normal standard practice is to make a separate plate for black so that the solid ink density is achieved, and halftones in a separate plate so that the halftones are well managed. Or what else also we do is we reduce the overall screen ruling. So the idea behind that is to, let's say, transfer ink more so that the density is achieved. But again, we are compromising with the details, the screen ruling. So in that case, there are certain challenges, like I explained. We have to make one extra plate when we want to separate solid and halftone. So we are adding the operational cost. We are eliminating the benefit of, let's say, buffer zone. So in printing, if we have the buffer station between next subsequent colors, it also always helps in efficient drawing. So we are eliminating that buffer deck if we are printing two colors. If we are printing with reduced screen ruling, what happens is the details in the design are lost. With separate spot color, sharpness and crispness is also lost because we are depositing more ink, so that crispness is gone. And whenever we are printing with a spot color, it takes time to match the spot color, and the inventory is also increased if the job has a short run, if it is not long. So what should be done? So this is what has been done. So the answer is to standardize the process with the process colors or ECG printing. So as you can see, this is a job printed by us. It has been printed with 179 LPA. You can see very smooth graphics, and negative elements are also printed very well. This has been done in reverse of 4 colors. With the advanced automation in the CA presses, we can achieve 4 color negative elements also. As you can see, there is also smooth intersection between the solids and the halftones, and very fine small dots, somewhere around 35 to 40 microns have been printed very smoothly. So what we say is, in Flexo, deposit as less ink as possible without compromising density, and print as clean and as sharp as possible if it is graphics or text elements. This is one more example of this job. This is a job we converted from Gravure to Flexo. In Gravure, they're printed with special background. So the spot color was there, and they're printed negative elements in that particular color. It is possible in Gravure because it is the cylinders are engraved. Flexo, these are contradictory requirements to have smooth graphics, fine graphics, and the negative elements. So what again we have done is we have standardized this with CMYK, and we are able to achieve smooth halftones, which are printed at 150 LPI, and the negative elements. You can also see there is no hard edge between the intersection of halftones and solids. So next challenge for Flexo is to print smooth drop shadows. So drop shadows is a big challenge for Flexo. It is challenging due to the minimum dot a press can hold onto the substrate. Dots smaller than the minimum dot tend to drop out, or they gain excessively due to the impression pressure. This problem is more visible on the white background because the contrast value is very high. The substrate is white and the shadows are black, so the contrast value is very high, so it looks very dirty over there. So what do? We normally reduce the screen ruling so as to make sure that the dots are printed smoothly and they don't drop out, or we make an extra plate to print the drop shadows, or we remove the drop shadows. But removing the drop shadows doesn't solve the problem because the brand owners and the designers love the drop shadow. If they are not printed successfully, the hard edge is seen. So let us try to understand what is hard edge and ugly drop shadows. So as you can see in the image, dots have gained in the tonal value and the hard edge and the muddy areas are seen. So how do we resolve that? So we have printed, so as you can see in these images, we have printed certain jobs and we are able to achieve very fine, smooth edge drop shadows, which is really difficult to do it in Flexo. So what you have to do is you have to optimize all the process variables available in the Flexo process, and with that you can achieve this. There are more images. So the one more idea is to use higher screen ruling, because drop shadows are normally vignettes. In vignettes, drop shadows are vignettes and they need better tonal range to be printed. So to print with higher rulings will solve the problem. Larger dots, when we print with lower screen ruling, we are actually eliminating the tonal range that has to be printed, and muddy areas are printed due to the tonal value increment. So let's quickly go to the next slide. Printing smooth drop shadows. Yeah, so one more way to resolve this is to print with drop shadows with CMY in such a way that the tonal value of black is achieved. You can also eliminate black but reach that level by, let's say, increasing the tonal value. So one more challenge in Flexo is to print at very high resolution. Because it is rotogravure dominated market, gravure can print easily high screen rulings. Higher screen rulings also give premium and professional approach. Consumer packaging interaction is the first point of contact which communicates quality. With high screen ruling, we can see details, sharpness and clarity in the images. It looks more of a continuous tone rather than the visible dots. But it is very difficult because there are many process variables which needs to be engineered on the press. So what happens when we print with low LPI? As you can see, we are able to see the visible dots and the graphics are lost. The details are lost and sharpness is lost in the images. As you can see in the second and third image, intricate artwork has lost the definition. If you can see the hen and the feathers, they are not clear, they are not sharp. So the idea is to print at a higher resolution to get that details in the image. So we have printed few jobs with 150, 79, 93 and 208. Again, we have to optimize all the process variables available in the Flexo. We have to understand the behavior of the press and the variables to achieve this. Correct combination of all the process variables would lead to this kind of results. Again, one more challenge in the Flexo is the printing of white. So what happens is when we print white, we always see the problems of pinholing and opacity. And it is more visible when we laminate that particular thing with a natural substrate, and when the contents are packed inside that pouch, it looks from beneath and it looks really poor. So the idea is so what do we do normally? We deposit very high volume of ink which adds to the cost, but that's not the solution. Sometimes what we do is also we print white 2 times on different decks. That also leads to increase in operational cost. Drying also becomes very challenging. Production speed has to be lowered. Solvent retention is also there if the solvent is not evaporated, which leads to problem in the converting process. So how to solve that? Again, optimize all the parameters. What we have done, see on the left you can see there are a lot of pinholes, but by optimizing the mounting tape, anilox, the surface patterns of the plate, you can achieve white without pinholes. How do we successfully execute Flexo? So we have to make artwork which is compatible with the Flexo process. Every process has its own challenges and limitations, so we have to overcome that. We have to make artwork which is compatible. Standardization is the key, because the idea is to reduce or minimize number of variables that the process has to get predictable outcome. We have to monitor press conditions and the press variables, maintenance, and we have to establish a very strong closed loop communication channel starting from artwork, designer to the prepress, consumable suppliers, and with the printer. And the most important is to comprehensive training of personnel. We have to invest in the training of the staff to achieve to this level. So we say flexographic printing is a system of many partners, and the printing quality is a result of chain of contributors. And who are this chain of contributors? Let us try to understand with an analogy. So as you can see, this is an orchestra room. What you can see over here is there's this musical score which is like an artwork which contains all the specifications and details which has to be printed, let's say, in our flexo printing. There is a stage which is like a printing press where there are all the components assembled and it has to work in synchronization. So it's like a printing press. There are musicians and instruments. These are the most critical and important people of the flexo process. They are ink suppliers, the prepress guys, the plate guys, the anilox guys, and role of each of them would let's say define the final outcome of the process. And then there's a maestro. So maestro is a printer who basically combines all these elements and ensures cohesive execution of the process. And thank you very much and yes, with all of us, together, we have tried to print this particular job at 175 LPA. This is ECG, 8-color job. So contribution of everyone is important in Flexo. And thank you very much. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Jainam Bhai. We saw that last job that you saw there. You can see it out there. It's going to be there with a few of us. But I would encourage you to go out and meet your contributors, meet with people in the industry, get their advice and understand how you can establish process control and make Flexo more successful and more profitable. With that being said, we'd like to conclude the session, but not without felicitating our speakers. I'd like to invite Dr. Kai on stage before our speakers leave the stage so that we can give them their mementos.
I just want to say that this was a beautiful presentation and this was music to my ears. So thank you very much. And what I also like, what I have learned is my first visit, very short. I'm leaving to the airport to India. But actually, I like that you have a gravure printing competition because that's how it all has been in Finland and Nordic countries also. Because the quality level is high. You have to deliver high quality Flexo also. Excellent. Thank you very much.
Okay. If I can have the speakers stand up, please.
Kirti Panchal.
Hersh.
Come in the center.